Welcome back to the second episode of Our Magic Community. I just want to reiterate that there are no product placements on this channel. If you fancy having a chat with me about the Magic community, please feel free to get in touch. I'm keen to speak to everybody. Now, I'd like to introduce you to this week's guest, Rich Relish.
Welcome, Rich. Thank you for joining me. For those that don't know Rich Relish, he is the man, the myth, the legend. He's a creator. He's a mentalist by trade, and I think my friend and has become my mentor as well, I think, over the last kind of 12, 18 months, which has been great. We know each other from Cardiff Magic Society, which I joined a couple of years ago. And yeah, it's been great getting to know Rich over the last few years. We've become really good friends, like I said, and he's really supported me in my magic. So welcome, Rich.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been I mean, we were even driving to conventions and shows and stuff together, and what was it, 2.5 hour journey, and didn't run out of things to chat about. So that's always a good sign.
Five hours in the car, like 3 days before jumping on this, so it probably wasn't the best idea. We run out of things to talk about. But first question for you, Richard, because these videos are going to be short, sharp, snappy. You're going to get right into the questions as soon as we can. So, first question, I haven't preempted you for this, but you've got 60 seconds on my phone to give me your background in magic. Go.
Cool. Stopped DJing, needed a hobby, looked into magic that I liked as a child, liked mentalism, couldn't afford it until I learned that there was a cheaper way of doing it. I haven't looked back since. Perform close up because I'm a massive coward and I'd be frightened to death on a stage. And I prefer, if I can, bars to weddings, because then you've got a bit more time to build a bit of rapport and spend some time on presentation rather than rushing from group to group. Still perform magic as a hobby, but my other sort of thing I stand by is if I'm not going to perform it, I try not to learn how it works because I'm a fan of magic ultimately. So I love being fooled. So anything, coins, silks, rope, illusions, I've got no idea and I've got no intention in learning. So some secrets I hand out, other secrets I'm more than happy not to find.
7 seconds to spare. Nailed it, Rich. Nailed it. Fantastic. Yeah, I think your background has been really interesting because I think you've been involved in a lot of stuff, releases with some big names in the magic community. And when I joined Cardiff Magic Society 2 years ago, I think I looked up the people that were there. Your name cropped up, and even coming to that first meeting, which I think was Adam Dadswell lecture.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
yourself were there, Lord Harry was there. There were some big names in the club that I knew about only through other podcasts and things like that. Craig Petty's channel, interviews with him. So I kind of heard a lot about you guys as as creators and magicians, and it was quite daunting for me actually coming to that first kind of session at a kind of magic club. But very, very quickly realized you're all, normal people. I think that was quite a relief, I think, for me coming into that. Um,
I'm not going to say too much about that because that's like obviously something I'm going to speak about later. But yeah, you soon realise that when you're immersed in the world, it's massive.
yeah,
But you could walk outside and ask the first 10 people to name some famous magicians. You're probably going to get the same 5 names from the megastars off them.
yeah.
The rest,
If that, I
yeah,
think, yeah, yeah. I think in the community we see people as these big names, rightly so. They've built that reputation, but everyone that I've met that at first I've been, it's been quite daunting that their names come to big names come to the club to lecture, but actually when they get there, they're just like anyone else that I've met, which is great.
yeah.
Everyone's been really friendly, which is nice. So leads on to my first question of talking about the community. Obviously, that's what this channel is going to be about. What's your first memory or first time you realized that there was a magic community much bigger than just, a handful of magicians that would meet at a club or anything like that? What's your first memory of that?
Yeah, this is was an interesting one looking back because I think it sort of came in waves. Because when I first got into magic, it was very much I bought a few tricks online, and there was a forum. This was back in the forum days, a forum called Talk Magic, and I was a lurker. I rarely posted, but I just all of this new information. Do you know what I mean? You unlock the door and you got access to all of this stuff. So I was just taking it all in, and I was developed being a more active member there, and I got confident enough to write reviews of some tricks and what people thought my opinion and giving people perhaps some advice and stuff. But so I suppose that was the first community-based example of magic that I encountered, was just online. This was really pre any magic on YouTube, etc. I mean, you'd have the odd trailer, but yeah, it was the forums, and then I think it took me a little while to gain the confidence. I'm not naturally outgoing or confident, so it took me a little while to gain the confidence to even look for local events, groups. And then, joined Cardiff Magic Society. The first time I went there was a lecture as well. I'm going to ruin the pronunciation, but I think it's Peter McLanachan. He's the card guy, he's a Scottish magician.
Okay.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And yeah, everybody was really, really friendly there. And then the only reason because I sort of went away from the society bit and came back, and that was just because of commitments, home life commitment.
Yeah.
But the CMS, the Magic Society, was a massive part of that as a community. And then the other thing is, I think when you reach out and when you immerse yourself in the world, you realise that, like we said, these are normal people, and everyone's really friendly. Like, it was really nice. When my first Blackpool, I went up on my own, intentionally, because I'd arranged to meet people there online. And I mean, like Steve Cook. Steve's one of my favourite creators ever, and he was kind enough to reach out to me, and we organised, and we sat down in one of the bars just in the Winter Gardens and chatting, and he was showing me some of the stuff, and we'd probably spoken like a few messages online, and that's it. And then you just meet people, and by the end of it, going to Blackpool for me was more about meeting. Well, there was, like, I was lucky enough to call friends. Like, you had Michael Murray in the Newcastle lot, and then you had, like, there was Ryan Mentis, and then there was Paul Rich, and these are all people from all over the country you'd never meet elsewhere, and yet you'd go up there and you'd like, oh right, well, now I'm going to speak to these lot. And for me personally, that's why, like, people from Cardiff Magic Society go to Blackpool together as a group. But I think if I do that, I'd be a bit rude. I'd feel a little bit rude going over and speaking to the other people I knew from the industry. So that's why I kind of choose to, right, I'm like, look, it's cool, I'll go up on my own, and then I feel like, right, I'll spend time with this group, time with this group, time with this group, because, so looking back on it, that's what I love about the community, is how accepting they are and how wide-reaching it is. And
with the online stuff, it's not really something I've had experience with, but because I think my first jump into the magic community was joining Cardiff Magic Society, and I think the Magic Cafe and the forums, that all passed me by. I was interested in magic for a long time, but never really delved into that kind of aspect of it. And to be honest, I haven't thought of forums and things like that being a community, but I'm guessing you probably, like you said, message Steve Cook and things like that. How did that come about? Like, because I'm guessing even for you, that would have been, a big name in magic, seemingly. You then you just, you take that jump and message them, and then all of a sudden you realize, they're happy to chat and things like that. So how did that come about that you started messaging Steve?
So that was a bit later. That was almost when things had moved on to the Facebook groups. But it's silly. It's just about getting the confidence to do it. So I imagine, I don't really remember, but I imagine at the start it would have just been like saying how much you like somebody's trick. Because it is still, like I said, it's a niche industry. Yeah. So I'm like, it was probably the gamble, because I still perform that now. But it's just a case, do you know what? I just thought, you see these people are active online, and just got to send a speculative message, just like, look, just, I really like this. And it just opens the doors. And what I love about magic then is, as long as you're not an idiot, I'm not sure whether you're good at swearing on this podcast or not. I nearly said something I shouldn't. But as long as you're not an idiot and you meet somebody, then they're happy to introduce you to their friends, and they're their friends. Next thing you know, it just sort of escalates. And I mean, at one point, I was in London with a family, and we were walking through Covent Garden, and there was Pete Turner, Mark Lemon, and they were doing some filming. And they stopped and we chatted and everything. And, like, don't get me wrong, I'm far from best mates with these people, phoning them, but you kind of just recognise each other, and then you're happy to stop and have a chat. And
I think that's what's really nice about it, is that you don't have to be best mates with everybody, but everybody's still willing to have those conversations. And I think that to me, it was my first year at Blackpool this year, and I got introduced to so many people just because people knew that I was new. So, they would say, "Oh, come sit with us," and it was
Yeah,
so people were so open. They sent me messages before on the back of it, what happened Christmas time, which I don't want to talk about on here, but it's the reason for this channel. But well, if that's not the reason for the channel. The reason for the channel is that all of the people that started messaging me saying, "Oh, if you come to Blackpool, let's grab a drink. If let's go to this lecture. If you've never been before, we can meet up here. We do all of this." And I met so many people, more people than I can probably remember at the moment because it was a full-on 4 days. The first time I've been there, it was overwhelming, but it was great. But yeah, there's probably people that I spent some time with that it would take me a while to try and remember that because they were just people that I'd meet for in a bar, chat to 5, 10 minutes, but that kind of helped me settle into things.
yeah,
But yeah, um, with you kind of touched on it already, but you've said about people being friendly and willing to chat. What's the best thing about a community? What it's hard to put into words the question, I guess, because you've alluded to it already. People being friendly and open. What do you think that enables, other people in the community to do and achieve but by meeting so many people?
yeah. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Because you see these people on DVDs or downloads on YouTube videos, and you absolutely put them up on a pedestal, and then you go to an event, and they like there's not very many egos at all. And when you consider it's a performance art that's effectively just showing off, the fact that there's so little egos in a room is, or maybe I'm just in the right rooms. Maybe that's what it is. But and yeah, and that's when you send me the questions over. That's it for me. I'm like, that's what I love about it. Like the people from you could reach out to anybody, and it's you do have the anonymity now. But when you like sending messages to somebody's social media or website or something, if they don't want to speak to you, if they're going through a bad time, etc., then no doubt, yeah, they won't get in touch.
Yeah, yeah,
But more often than not, like people are very, very happy just to like, especially if you're not being like I said, if you're a nice guy or a nice girl, then you just reach out to somebody and they're gonna be appreciative,
yeah.
or at least that's what I found, and I'm far from anything like special. So and
Put
that's what I'd
yourself
say.
down, Rich.
Yeah, and that's what I'd say. I know. I think one of your questions is about like some advice to people, and yeah, I say just reach out to these people. If you like the trick, tell them you like the trick. I mean, I love it. I have there's oh my gosh, I wish I could remember his name. There's one gentleman who bought my trick, and he got my phone number from online, and he phoned me up and we have chats about tricks and
Oh,
stuff.
well,
It is. It's really nice, and yeah, that's another consideration. So if you are a performing magician and your phone number's out there, people can get hold of it. So just be,
yeah,
be aware of
yeah,
that. But
yeah.
yeah,
No
just
thought of that.
yeah, but yeah, reach out to these people. If you're, don't get me wrong, if you're telling them you don't like the latest release and you think it's rubbish and stuff, probably not the best message to send. But if you've bought something and you're using it, you're performing it, you're getting great reactions with it, let them know. Because I know
Yeah,
when people say that to me on a couple of occasions, it's happened when my releases, it makes you feel all worthwhile. Because I mean, when you're releasing magic tricks, that unless you got the next cartoon or something like, the money's never it's never going to be your retirement fund. Like I said, I'm part time. It's not even I'm just because it's absolutely what I want to do, but it's a part time thing for me.
yeah,
So knowing that I'm putting stuff out there that people are performing and enjoying
yeah.
is
That
really
must be a lovely
helpful.
feeling. I think what you're saying as well about like being open and willing to chat to people like I that's got your number and starts messaging you. If you kind of you know not everyone would be that open as you to like start having those conversations, but you never know where that's going to lead. They might have a release further down the line, or they might have something that they need support on, or vice versa.
Yeah,
And that's what I found is that I've not had releases anything like that. I'm pretty new to the gigging scene, but by helping other people as through conversations or just befriending them through our club, I found that I can support them when they need it, but likewise they'll return the favor as well. So I imagine being open to having those conversations with everyone, opens a lot of doors as well, I would have thought.
Yeah, 100%. Like the biggest release I had, Easy Tones. I mean, I was speaking to Lloyd about it. It wasn't where it needed to be. And then Lloyd and Craig needed some help with some of the numbers behind the scenes on the quantum tech. And Lloyd knows that my background's in data and analysis and stuff. So reached out and I helped them with that. And as a result, then Craig got involved and helped with my project. And yeah, it
Yeah.
happens all the time. I mean, you look at the number of like Magic releases where you've got multiple creators' names on it. And I'm sure perhaps there will be occasions where people are in a room together and have a spark, but I'd imagine this well, some person comes up with something and then somebody else is able to add it and like do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Just helping, and it all pushes the art forward then as well.
Yeah. And I think for me, the two names that you just mentioned, obviously Lloyd Barnes, Craig Pethley, 12 months ago, if you told me that had, you just kind of having conversations with him about tricks, I would have been like mind blown at that. But having met Lloyd through the club and met Craig through the lecture that he did for Cardiff, and then, speaking to him after because he kind of stepped in and tried to support me with the situation before Christmas. He didn't have
Yeah,
to do that. And that was only through just the fact that we met each other at a lecture and, had a chat then. He saw my name, recognized it, and got in touch to try and help. And I
yeah,
think, if you, again, put in big names on pedestals, makes them seem like somebody that wouldn't necessarily do things like that. Craig was first to jump in and try and help out when somebody needed help me, and I know that he does that for other people. And Lloyd's great as well. He's again really big name in kind of the YouTube scene and creator scene. Obviously, he's worked for some massive companies in Magic, and but he's willing to have a chat about things, and he's willing to come out and help the Magic Club, without being asked to do anything in return.
yeah,
I think for me, that's the great thing about the community is people are willing to do these things without asking for anything in return. It might be that further down the line, you reciprocate that favor, but people aren't doing it for that, from what I can tell.
yeah,
I might be wrong with some examples, but I think on the most part, people are happy to help because they want to see others progress and do well. And I think
yeah.
that's really nice to see.
And
Um,
the other thing
well,
I just thought of as well was like another sort of community that I would absolutely recommend and something which we can speak about another time. That's the Magic Circle, and
yeah,
the apprenticeship scheme there that David Minton is involved in is brilliant. It's really really supportive, and the reason this came to mind is because they had an event on maybe last year, or the year before, I forget. But Darren Brown was signing copies of his new book, and it was a live podcast record as well. So only through being involved in the Magic Circle and that community, which again I'm very much on the outside there, but I got the chance to like meet Darren. I've got a copy of his book signed and everything. So these are all things
nice.
that, like, however many years ago I would have thought, there's no chance. Maybe if I
Yeah, it
turned
never happened.
to the
Yeah,
stage door, I might have catch him for 2 minutes for the fact to have a small chat and meet these people
yeah.
like. Yeah, so it really is from the top down. And people putting these events on. I mean, that was the Magic Podcast, Richard Young putting the event on, and yeah, can't thank him enough because it
Yeah.
all just
No,
makes the
it's
community
amazing.
so
Yeah,
strong.
and I think again, you mentioned conventions earlier. Blackpool was my first. Well, it was my first Blackpool. I'd been to London Magic Convention 18 months before, and what was really nice is that I'd met a couple of people through Harry at London Magic Convention in 2024, must have been. I hadn't spoken to these people since then, but I'd met them for like, half hour, an hour chat in a bar that night in London. And then in Blackpool, just started chatting to them as if you saw them last week. And I think sometimes you kind of like at the bigger conventions, especially, you're rubbing shoulders with, the big names of magic, but they're as much of a part of the community as anyone else,
Yeah,
as,
well,
as a
the last
hobbyist. And
Blackpool on the queue on the way into the last Blackpool, Preston and Andy Nyman were behind me. So you just wait in, and so of course you end up chatting. And back then, that was when it was the early easy tone. I was talking about all the time. It was the early easy tone stage, and Preston Nyman's got a thing with coloured charts and colours as well. So
yeah,
we were having a little chat about that, and
bro.
just not
Yeah,
awkward at all, and just good,
yeah,
yeah. So I mean, they say sometimes not to meet your the people you look up to, but that's not my experience of Magic at all.
yeah, no, same here, same here. The next question I've got I don't want it to be controversial. I want this to be like a productive question. And so I want to ask you, what would you change about Magic? But I don't want, this isn't a space to kind of like rant about things, but if you were to change something to make this a better place, what would you change, and Why would you do that?
So this was the one I found. I thought about the longest, and I've got something that I think it's quite simple. Sometimes some magicians, I'll say that so it casts the net a little bit wide, but you could be showing them something, like let's say you're performing a trick or just talking about something, and you can see it in their eyes that they've stopped listening and they're waiting
Right.
to interject. And you could tell, and it could be because, and I genuinely think it comes from a place of good intention where they think they can help you or they can do something. But sometimes I think that some magicians need to learn to listen a bit more.
Mm.
And like, so this person is showing you something, you like, let's just let them do that. And jamming, yeah, is a collaborative thing and things going back and forth. But yeah, you can genuinely see it sometimes in people's eyes where they've kind of stopped listening and they're like, right, you've done this. Oh, that reminds me, I can do this. And it's
Yeah.
just not, yeah, it's just not collaborative then at all. It just gets a little bit awkward. So yeah, like I said, I didn't want to go controversial or anything like that, but just a little PSA to everybody that if somebody's taking the time to show you something, regardless of their skill, ability level, experience, or anything, just take the time to be an audience member for them. And
Yeah.
then, like at the end, there'll be an opportunity to chat about, like, also, yeah, do you want any feedback? You can ask them, and you can go into that then. But yeah, it just gets really awkward sometimes when somebody's performing something, and then as soon as they're finished, somebody else is just ready to jump in. So I just think learning to listen a bit more and like listen rather. So you're not just hearing, you're listening. Just that I
Yeah.
think
Do
is a
you,
bit.
do you think do you think that stems from them wanting to show off, or do you think it just stems from they've seen that one thing that has just triggered them to switch off?
Do you know what? Probably all of the above. I
Yeah.
bet no doubt there are instances where said there are a certain personality type and they maybe want to show, oh, well, I know that and I know this as well. But sometimes, like I said, this comes from a good place where they're thinking, oh, well, actually, I've done something like this before. Why don't you try this? And do you know what I mean? If you're going to give that advice, you've got to be ready for the other person to sometimes say, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. I mean, there's no right or wrong way
Mm.
to do magic. But yes, it's difficult to know. There are probably people coming at it from every sort of angle where, yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like to show off a bit, or sometimes it's from a genuine place of trying to help.
Yeah.
But yeah, just give it some time to breathe. Let that person do their performance, and then
Do you find that happens more with people that you kind of are familiar with, or people that you meet in at conventions and they don't really know your background? And
yeah, across the board, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, I think I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And again, I'm only speaking from personal experience, so maybe this is not something that like other people have found. But yeah, it's just definitely something I've observed.
yeah. Well, I can relate to that. Absolutely, you've been trying to show something, and I think the person like you're showing it to might not appreciate where you're at on your kind of magic journey. It might be the first time that you've been doing a particular move or a trick, or like a genre, even a genre of magic. It might be the first time somebody's testing out a mentalism routine.
Mm,
If you start jumping in with, "Oh, try this, do that," they might be, it might be the first method that they've learned in mentalism.
yeah,
And then you're just throwing all of, somebody's just throwing all of this information at them that overwhelms them and thinks, "Oh, well, obviously what I'm doing is not very good if that's what they recommended I do." But actually that thing could be the start of their journey to become someone like yourself, someone, really established in mentalism. But yeah, I totally get that. I think that would be a nice thing to change, that actually people would sit and, proactively watch somebody do something and then give the feedback. I think people probably are quite quick to switch off, and especially for something that they know already. I think if you're being shown some, a card trick and a few card moves, just appreciate the fact that that person's on part of their journey to and encourage them to do it. You can advise them where to go to after it, but actually, give them their pay dues. You were there at some point.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's the thing. Yeah. Last question then is you've kind of touched on it before, but um, what would your advice be to somebody that's like new to the community? So somebody like myself 2 years ago, I didn't really know that there was a community. I didn't really know until about 5 years that there was this massive, industry of magic with magic shops and things like that. It's still learning off like, resources that I could dig out the internet and things like that. But and that opened another door for me, which we'll that's another YouTube channel of yeah. But yeah, so like put yourself in my shoes 2 years ago. I'd contacted Cardiff Magic Club. I'd actually contacted them 3 or 4 years previously, just before COVID. And the thing that put me off going them was that they had auditions. So you could go for like two kind of sessions and then you had to like audition. And I think just the wording of that kind of put me off a little bit. 'Cause I was, performance anxiety, nervous, shy, and all of that. And I thought, no, it's not for me. And actually, they scrapped that then when I next contacted and wanted to take the jump. And I think it's been great since then because I went without that pressure of going, I have to be this level and
Yeah.
whatnot. But that's in terms of the Magic Club. But somebody that's coming brand new into the community that doesn't know that there's this whole world. So their first experience might be a Magic Club. Their first experience might be going to Blackpool Magic Convention because they've heard it. They've never met anyone in the community. What would your advice be to them?
So this is sort of a two-part piece of advice, I suppose, for when somebody's new and then a little bit more experienced then as well. Because when somebody's new, my advice would be, which kind of ties in with what I was saying earlier, is don't be afraid to ask. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, we're all fans of magic. All the magicians are fans of magic, and some people are better well read. So if you see something you like, yeah, reach out, ask somebody, like, what do you think of this? If you're looking for feedback, you can do. But then the other side of that path is, I'd say, well, right, well, on your way getting experienced, on your way up, ask for the help. But I'd probably say what's more important then is to pay back everything that you learn to other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think that's the way that obviously more people coming into magic. It's as popular as ever. If you help these people, it grows the numbers, it's better for everyone. And then we've got a massive sea of people willing to help other people then as well.
Yeah.
It's like only relatively recently I sort of got involved with the Cardiff Council for the Cardiff Society because I've been doing magic for 20 years, and people, you say creator and stuff. I probably had 5 releases, 6 releases, something like that. I'm far from prolific, but I know bits about how these types of things work, and so if anybody needs any advice or any of that, then I
Yeah,
can
of course.
certainly tell them that stuff based on my experience. And yes, I get imposter syndrome. I think I'm not anything special. I'm far from the likes of, like you said, like Lloyd, Craig, Peter, or nothing like that. But I think, well, I have had a journey. I have helped, and that's what. And even like when I spoke to you about sort of helping you and mentoring you, I'm thinking, well, yeah, I can tell you what works for me,
Yeah.
or what works for me, and some things to think about. But yeah, so that's a bit long-winded, but that's what I'd say is don't be afraid to ask for help on the way up. But then once you get your experience, be prepared to sort of help
Yeah,
others.
pass it on, isn't it? Yeah, and I think a really good example of that is like Harry kind of took me under his wing in the first kind of 6, 12 months of joining the club, which was fantastic. A lot of the kind of stuff that he was performing didn't, sit with me as a performer, but it was still great to like see that side of things and take that advice on board, but accept that it wasn't always going to be suited to me, but willing
Yeah,
to take that from somebody. And even now, I'm not like, as experienced as Harry was when he was helping me, but we've had new people at the club that I'm happy to. The one thing that sticks in my mind is Harry put me on to Potted Jam, 11 pence trick, James Brown. I,
yeah,
I went off and learned that. And then Alan at the club, yeah, I've showed him that, and straight away he was like, "Oh, I need to," So it's almost like passing on, not passing on secrets, but passing on the kind of like almost like
recommend it.
your own little journey. Yeah, that go and learn this because that taught me a lot about misdirection, things like that. And it was from him saying, not him saying this would be perfect for what you perform, but actually going, there's things in this that would help you with everything else. So it was a really good piece for me to go off and learn. And if that was at his house one night, I'd gone up to Harry's house for like a pizza and stuff, and just it was just almost like a passing comment, but actually it was a big thing for me
Yeah,
that led on to things which has been passed on as well. So yeah, no, I think that's great. I think definitely for me as well, the further I go in Magic now, the more I'll want to be supporting people, especially through the club locally. And from what I've seen, everybody's willing to offer that as well. And I think that's what's great about the community.
yeah.
Um,
On the channel as well. Look, I mean, I know this is the first couple of videos
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
done.
yeah.
Even this just shining a light on what's out there. I think that again, that's you paying back. I mean, if all it takes is for a couple of people to watch it and then they have the courage to reach it to their society like you've done, or to their
Yeah.
favorite creators or performers and things like that, and maybe start building that network. And then,
Yeah, absolutely. That's what this is about. It's about, I said it in the first video, but it's shining a light on the fact that this community is out there. And if anyone's in Magic and they kind of sat doing it on their own, get to a local club because there's so many people that will want to support you. It's not that you need to ask for it. You'll go there and they'll want to take you under their wing. And, I think that's been a great thing for me. And, likewise, meet up with, get in touch with people online, have a jam on the internet. It doesn't have to be somebody that's on your doorstep. People are
yeah,
willing to do that because everybody loves Magic. Even if you said we spent 5 hours in the car going up to Birmingham, we see each other every fortnight at the club. We still didn't run out of things to talk about because Magic is massive, and it's that sort of thing. People are always willing to talk about Magic, support each other, and I think that's what's really nice. But we'll wrap it up here. So thank you, Rich. I think one last thing that I want to ask is, where can people find you in the community? So not just in terms of your socials. It'd obviously be great for you to put them out. If anyone wants to get in touch with Rich, I'm sure he'd be happy to have a chat. But
yeah,
also, what's the next like event you're going to be at? I know we're both going to be at Craig's convention. I'm not sure if you got anywhere before then, but likewise, if anyone's watching this, let's go into that. Doesn't know many people, come up and say hello to me and Rich.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, we're going to be at the Magic podcast, the Magic convention. Sorry. Yeah, for me then, I mean, unless you're in the Bridgend in South Wales area and there's a few charity events, I guess I could. We got our cats are rescue cats, so I guess I could do a charity events for every. No, I don't get second. I volunteer to do to do some stuff there. I got some of those coming up over the summer. But yeah, I don't do any residencies or anything anymore. So private bookings. So unfortunately, there's nothing like that. So it would either be just reach out via socials or if you see me out and about on one of the conventions, but it's only the Magic convention I've got booked at the moment. Alakazam, if that's 2 days next year, then I think that looks interesting because I watched the videos and looked really good this year.
Yeah, it
So
did look good. Yeah, I really fancied that one. Yeah, obviously it's quite a trek for us from South Wales, but definitely if it's a 2 day, I'll be making my way over there. Definitely. But yeah, cheers, Rich. Really appreciate your time, and we'll chat to you again soon.
yeah, thanks for asking me.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Rich. Bye.